But today we are starting the show off. Unfortunately, Tyreek Hill was cut by the Miami Dolphins today. Bradley Chubb, we lost some soldiers today. I'm a little sad, but I know it's the right thing to do. I know we're going to rebuild the right way with Sully, and I know that the Dolphins are going to turn it around. Kahari, what did you think about the breaking news today about losing 4 soldiers?
I mean, obviously, it was expected. It wasn't like it was like we were blindsided as fans or if it was a surprise to us. We saw the writing on the wall. We knew it was coming. We knew the new regime was going to step in and clean house. And, these are things, unfortunately, that we have to do.
Sure.
And, one thing I do appreciate is those guys that did leave today or that got released, they did have some nice farewell posts and enjoyed their time here. Said that we welcomed them with open arms, and
Right.
because you've had other guys like I don't remember seeing a farewell post from Jalen Ramsey or other players or Odell Beckham. Well, he didn't even play a snap, but not a real like a season. But anyways, it was refreshing, and I'm just ready. It was time to rip the Band-Aid off. Not sure what the next year holds for us. Obviously, it's going to be a rebuild year. But you and I will be there through thick and thin. So
It's all right, baby. We're going to still be at every home game. We're going to be in Vegas. That's all that matters. We're going to have a good time.
yeah, I also think what's neat about the rebuild, I would definitely say, is that it's peaceful. The expectations aren't there, and I think that gets all the jitters out of there. Going to the game without expectations, hey, you could shock the world, whether it's next year or the year after. But let's get a playoff win. So.
Hey, I think we can, dude. Like I said, it's going to take a little bit of time. I think that they could build this team the right way and get us to win maybe a lot more than just one playoff game, Maybe win 10 games in regular season, 11 games in regular season come the next few years and really start pumping this thing the way that we all know and we wish that it could have been. So I think that that's great. But let's talk about a team that is not great and that will never be great and that will always suck. Jafar, welcome in the show, my brother. Show them the jacket, and they'll understand why I said what I said.
Okay, first of all, I think what he meant to say was easily one of the flyest teams in New York, but that's okay for right now. It's front and back starter kit, something light. But let's get into it. Yeah, I got my Jets. Definitely not letting go of any number one receivers anytime soon. Right now, I don't even know if we have necessarily, other than Garrett Wilson, a true number one.
I was gonna say, brother, if you didn't say Garrett Wilson's name, I was gonna say, Ben, it's not too late to kick him out of the Zoom. But I'm glad you at least mentioned Garrett Wilson. He knows ball.
He knows ball.
But I will say, I think that for everybody who's in this conference, who's in this division with us, I think it was wonderful what you said before about expectations. It's like going into a season and you got 53 guys on a roster. It's incredibly difficult when you're going into these markets like Miami or the Jets when they're touting us as possibly being great defenses or touted offenses, and then we end up in the season being not exactly what we were supposed to and getting hit with, things like injury bugs. And for both franchises, respectfully, the quarterback situation is something that I think needs closer consideration in terms of our history and in terms of now, in terms of what we're doing for the future. That all needs to be put into retrospect.
And you hit the nail on the head. I was going to say, you guys also have quarterback problems just like we do. Obviously, you had Aaron Rodgers there a few years ago, and obviously he was there. The expectations were high when you guys had him, and then now you guys got Justin Fields there, and they're trying to boo him out of the freaking town. So, I mean, what do you think you guys go from here as far as QB?
Truthfully, I don't think that there's going to be anything in the free agency that we could possibly look at and be like, this is going to be a good fit. I think that really needs to be similar to what we see from Dallas's blueprint, ironically, because even though have they have their curses and their gripes with the league, I think that that's something that the Jets, we never had an offensive line. This is the overall issue. We haven't had an offensive line since I want to say 2008. And when we had a guy like
2008
Mark,
when we beat them.
you can see that when teams have an offensive line, Sam Darnold, a guy who was a Jet, could end up making the playoffs and winning the Super Bowl, or a guy like Chad Pennington could come from Tommy John surgery and I don't know, take a team that was maybe not necessarily on everybody's highest list to make the playoffs, but they might get into the wild card, but not my Jets.
Hey,
So,
that's a good name right there, Chad Pennington, bro. I was at the first game back when he came back from injury, injured himself again, was out for the season. I was at that game with my dad in New York, so that brought back a memory for me. But yeah, dude, I think you hit it right on the head, like Kahari said, bro. I mean, listen, it's very easy to talk about offensive line in the NFL because not many teams have a good one, right? And there's a lot of injuries in that position because you have D linemen that are in way better shape than the offensive linemen, that are stronger, bigger, fast enough than every one of the offensive linemen every year. Yet you're expecting these offensive linemen to stay healthy 17 games, brutally getting beat up every single game. So it's very difficult to have an O line. But I do believe in today's NFL, Jeff, that you need a quarterback that can get out of the pocket. And I do believe that's why Drake May excelled so much this year, because he figured out, hey, I don't have the best offensive line, but hey, I can get out of the pocket and use my legs and extend plays and extend drives, which ultimately led them to their success this year, because that team is not very good on the offensive side of the ball. I mean, Stephon Diggs, a 32-year-old receiver that's on the back nine of his career, I don't think he was doing too much to win them many games this
On his
year.
way to jail,
Yeah, or that
possibly.
too.
But hey, I wanted to ask you, Jafar. You mentioned there's nobody out there in free agency. You wouldn't want Russell Wilson, or you wouldn't want possibly. Hey, I heard Derek Carr's thinking about coming out of retirement. He said it has to be
yeah,
the right circumstance.
keep those brothers out of my zip code. Out of my zip code. I'm good. I'm good. Let Derek keep being with his kids. And if Joey Flacco wants to come back, maybe I'll consider
Oh
him
my
over
God.
those
You
guys.
would consider Joe Flacco though, still?
He's done,
Not
bro.
Russell,
Hey,
certainly not Russell Wilson. Certainly not Russell
you.
Wilson.
I
I
agree
was
with that.
joking. Yeah, I was joking about that. It was all a joke. But I don't think you're
Yeah,
serious about a new regime or wanting to win. You're talking about bringing in Joe Flacco from the nursing home. Baby, you guys need some fresh blood over there, some fresh legs. You know, I'd be sick to my stomach, Zach, if somehow, some way, we fumbled and they freaking got Malik Willis. Not that
Yeah,
that would even change
but they
anything.
wouldn't though.
That wouldn't even change anything for them.
They
But
wouldn't.
I would be shocked.
They wouldn't for one reason, because they don't trust themselves, because they just did the same thing with Justin Fields. They don't trust themselves. That team doesn't
exactly.
trust themselves at all. But let me tell you though, honest question, I'm not trolling. Do you truly believe that Dante Moore went back to school because he didn't want to be a Jet?
I think that yeah, like I do, I do. I think a lot of these quarterbacks are seeing. I think that even in Caleb Williams, you see a guy who's incredibly brilliant,
Let me
and
tell you something. I love Caleb Williams.
I think the fact that those guys are all now becoming either upperclassmen and got to see that brother and be in Chicago and go through his flurries, see a bunch of quarterbacks who did go through some serious flurries, like the kid from Carolina. I think that that puts some quarterbacks, certainly like the kid from Oregon, on some reserve about where their stock could truly be, and maybe it's better to be in the right position. If that brother was able to go to Oakland, for example, I think that he would be in a better situation. He would be more willing to not want to go back to Oregon. But I think that with the current landscape, with the way the draft looks and the way that Mendoza looks, right? The kid from oh my
Indiana.
God, Indiana, and who I think is a great kid, and he seems to be a person who he
Mendoza.
gives Andrew Luck vibes. He gives Andrew Luck vibes.
He does. He does. Even more than Andrew Luck. But yeah,
I'm very
agreed.
curious to see, like that's been a thing, like for these quarterbacks, I think is a really really problematic situation. Is that like you guys said, it's like you could end up being like a Tua guy. You could end up like one play and you're like Kyler Murray on the floor throwing up the C's like like you bang or something, and it's like you don't want to end up like that. It's bad for business. It's bad for health. It's bad for all the things under the sun. So that's my overall take on that.
I'm gonna ask you a question, Jafar. Next 5 years, I'm gonna give you a long range. Are the New York Jets winning a playoff game within the next 5 years? And I have no room to talk as a Dolphins fan. I'm just asking you a question just to see where your head is and your expectations.
In the next 5 years, yeah, I would hope so. I think that would be we would be jeopardizing and wasting much like the guys in since the guys some guys like Malik Neighbors or people who have that kind of talent similar to Garrett Wilson. I don't want to waste that talent that he's got. So I don't think that in 5 years we're not going to see one playoff win. I could see us getting one playoff win, but it all goes back to like in between those 5 years are we actually answering the holes on offense and defense?
Jafar, but you guys have been wasting talent in Super Bowl III. What's going to change now?
The overall hope, I mean, I guess for all us Jet fans is that, in terms of a defense, there is, players on that defense who can play. We've seen them. I think that we just need to have a culture. We need a proper culture built within that locker room, and that's been something missing since since before Jamal Adams. But there was a hope that maybe with a guy like that, you were starting out like that.
The
And
Jamal
instead,
Adams fall off was sad, man.
That was crazy. That guy was
sad.
It was really sad.
he was looking generational before that happened. He went up to the Seahawks, right?
Well, that's where he
Yes.
started.
Right. No, yeah, the Seahawks. No, he
wait,
started in
wait.
New York. He started
Well,
in
he
New York.
started in New York.
Oh, I'm
That's
sorry.
right.
Yeah,
messed
he
me
did.
up just now. Yeah, he started in New
Yeah.
York. You guys also let
He went to Seattle after.
you guys
Sorry.
also traded Quentin Williams this past trade
Yeah,
deadline to the Cowboys. That was another
Yes.
big time name. Y'all
Yeah.
might as well. And then Brees Hall's going to be gone soon. Garrett Wilson's going to be gone soon. Y'all need to
Yeah.
go ahead and start rebuilding now. Now, because we're already ahead of you, baby. You need to start rebuilding
Yeah,
now.
no, that I can see. In terms of rebuild, that's one thing that I will credit the Miami Dolphins on is that, you know what? For years, if there's one thing you guys have always had and always had good eye for, it's receiving cores. Even if on other teams they would be usually a third string. Next thing you know, they play so damn well with the Miami Dolphins in that beautiful sun, in the wonderful arena that you guys have over there. That I remember just everybody and their mother who have wheels, would go to places like Miami.
Brandon
And
Marshall, like you said. Kenny
Brandon
Stills.
Marshalls.
Kenny
Kenny
Stills.
Stills.
These are
I was gonna say Devontae Parker, right? Wasn't Devontae
Yeah, well,
Parker?
we drafted him, but yeah, you were just saying some of these guys though that were like second and third options on other teams, how they would come here.
Rashard Matthews.
That was another name I was gonna say,
Rashard
and they would
Matthews.
have success. Albert Wilson, some of these guys, they ended up becoming.
Will Fuller.
Yeah, that guy, the guy that never.
That boy pulled a James Daniel. The only thing was James Daniels played one more snap than he
And-
did.
Yeah, I think you guys truthfully elongated Jalen Ramsey's career respectfully. I think you guys extended that thing for him in terms of getting the bag from other teams. I think
I
that
don't
you
know about
guys.
that.
I mean, I do. I mean, look, listen. He ended up on two other teams with contracts that are not, bare minimums. I mean, he showed at least for the most part. I mean, despite you guys having, your quarrels. I mean, I remember when even what's that brother's name? The one who would stomp out everybody. That was another brother. Who I
Ndamukong Suh.
Sue. I used to watch him for
It's a terrible signing.
days.
Terrible
Terrible
signing.
signing.
My dad and I were so upset when we signed him.
I was.
It did nothing. Did nothing for us. What did he do for us?
Him and Cam Wake, baby.
It was nothing. We didn't win any games with him extra because he was there. You paid a defensive tackle $114 million. Meanwhile, your offense sucked. It was a terrible signing. And then it didn't work out. He was gone after 3 years. What was the
The
point?
Hainsworth tale. That sounds
Terrible.
like the Hainsworth.
And then on top of that, they set themselves back 2 years because they owed him $50 million. The guy was
Yes,
terrible.
that's